Hey there, fellow explorers! Today we're going to be talking about Disneyland Paris!
Just like we promised in the last video.
Yeah, we'll be talking about where to stay, what there is to do there, a little bit of history about it, and hopefully some things that help you when you get to go to Disneyland Paris.
Oh, it's so fun. You're so lucky.
You ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Where are they going? What'll they see? It's J&T Exploring! So Disneyland Paris is a Disneyland park in Paris.
No way.
It's actually not, it's not in Paris.
Right.
It's actually outside of Paris.
Right.
When it first opened in 1992, it was called Euro Disneyland, which is a terrible name because Euro is essentially just money over there. So it was like Money Disneyland, which is...
Not a great name choice.
Yeah, not smart. So they have since changed it to Disneyland Paris.
Much better. So we just celebrated the 30th year anniversary, which we were lucky enough to get to be there for.
Oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah. There are two parks at Disneyland Paris. There's Disneyland Paris, and then there is Walt Disney Studios. Similar to like Disneyland and California Adventure.
There's also a shopping district attached to it, similar to like downtown Disney and California, but it's called Disney Village. Just like most other Disney resorts, there are Disney resort hotels on property. So there's the Disneyland Hotel.
That's right at the entrance of the park.
You literally walk through it.
Yeah, you can't miss it.
There's Hotel New York, the Newport Bay Hotel, Sequoia Lodge, and Hotel Cheyenne. We ended up staying at Sequoia Lodge. Out of all of the main resorts that are closest to the parks, it was like the cheapest because it's the furthest.
Yeah, by like a second.
I mean, we're talking like 50 yards, if that.
Yeah.
It was right next to all the others, but it was less expensive. And the theming was so cute.
Yeah, it's very like redwoody, like Northern California / Yellowstone / like National Park-ish.
It was super cute, and the room was really nice. The staff was great.
Yeah, plus you get a free cup of coffee every morning that you're there.
Oh, that was nice. They don't do free breakfast, but they do a free cup of coffee, and that was great.
Definitely took advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. When we were there, the Disneyland Hotel was actually closed for renovations, but I can't typically afford to stay at the Disneyland Hotel at any Disney resort because it's always the most expensive.
Well, you're right at the park.
Maybe someday.
Maybe.
Probably not. And because we were staying on property, we were able to do like a luggage transfer. So when we came in from Paris on the RER, we were able to just at the train station drop our bags off and they took them to our resort. So we could just go straight into the park, which I thought was really nice.
Yeah.
And then we got our little magic pass, which was your room key and your park tickets. And it was nice because included in our stay, every day we were there, a park hopper ticket was included. So we actually went to the park a lot more than we were initially planning on it, simply because we had extra tickets.
So we went the first day that we got there, which normally when we go to Disney, we don't go on our like travel day.
Right.
Because we've spent so much time traveling, there's not enough time in the day to justify going to the parks. But at Disneyland Paris, you already have a ticket because you've got a hotel booked for the night. So we were like, oh, well, we might as well.
So we did.
So starting in Disneyland, we have 5 lands. First you've got Main Street, and then Frontierland, Adventureland, Adventure Isle, Fantasyland, and Discoveryland.
So Main Street USA is pretty similar to Main Street USA in like Disney World Magic Kingdom or in Disneyland California. Mm-hmm. Very turn of the century vibes, old shopping, you know, you've got the Emporium. Although, genius move on their part for Main Street in Disneyland Paris. On either side of Main Street, on like the far side, are these arcades, or what they're called. So they have the Discovery Arcade and they have the Liberty Arcade. They're just these long hallways that go on the outside of the shops. And if you've been to a Disney park and you've felt that congestion, whether it's like a parade going down the middle of Main Street or whether everyone's trying to leave right after the fireworks, it can be crazy. So like these 2 extra hallways are so smart that they have there. It was genius.
Yeah, we loved it. They also have really fun like different displays or like attraction kind of things inside each arcade, or just a nice place to like sit down, get some AC, or like sit down and eat.
And then obviously the end of Main Street USA is the hub, which is pretty standard for all Disney parks. We've got the hub, it's got beautiful gardens. The landscaping in Disneyland Paris was so good.
It is probably the most beautiful Disney park.
I can't speak for the ones we haven't been to, but out of all of the Disney parks we've been to,
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's stunning.
Yeah.
So once we get to the hub, our tour will begin by turning left and heading into Frontierland.
So the entrance of Frontierland, there's a giant like fort that you can walk up in. If you went to Disneyland back when it was Tom Sawyer Island, it's kind of like that fort. It's really fun, and they've got like wax figures around with like different plaques of who they are and stuff. It was cool. And then it was nice because like when you're up in the fort, you can see all of Frontierland, and they've got Phantom Manor and Big Thunder Mountain, and it was cool.
Yeah, and on that note, walking up into the fort, as we go through Disneyland Paris, you'll note there's a theme of just like wandering. Disneyland Paris is very much built to just sort of like go for a walk and explore random pathways around. And that going up in the fort is definitely one of those. I don't think a lot of people know you can go up there because it's just like a random little staircase off on the side when you first enter Frontierland. But you can go up, and it was super fun. Great views.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Once you get out of the fort, you're in Thunder Mesa, and off to your left, a foreboding house on the hill with a dark past. That's Phantom Manor.
So Phantom Manor, if you don't know, is similar to Haunted Mansion in Disneyland and Magic Kingdom at Disney World. So, except the storyline is the Phantom was the owner of the mine in Big Thunder Railroad, and he had a daughter who wanted to get married, and all of the suitors that she brought home, her father killed off, so she couldn't marry them. And so it's kind of about that story, and they literally take you to like hell.
Yeah, it's if you go in thinking it's gonna be like just the Haunted Mansion, it's much darker. In France there's not as much of a like worry about like being too macabre or like too dark. So it's like, I mean, like the animatronic Phantom who like laughs and puts you in a grave.
He's
like,
scary.
It's really scary, and it's quite dark. And yes, he pulls you down into the underworld, and there's like skeletons crawling out at you. And then it gets like more lighthearted because it turns into like an Old West sort of a town, because Phantom Manor is set in the Old West in Paris.
But it's really fun. We loved Phantom Manor. Probably one of our top rides there.
Yeah, totally. Top 3 for sure.
Yeah. The next attraction in Frontierland is the Molly Brown, which is similar to the Mark Twain in Disneyland. So it's a big paddle boat that takes you around the rivers of America, and like I said, pretty much the same as when you get on the Mark Twain in Disneyland.
Yeah, it's just called the Molly Brown.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was nice. I always love going on the big paddle boats around. It's just a nice, relaxing break. You can just take in all the scenery as you gently just cruise around the river. It's nice.
Yeah.
And then as we keep on going in Frontierland, the next attraction is Big Thunder Mountain.
Oh my gosh. It is the best Big Thunder Mountain that I have ever been on.
It is so good.
I think we rode it like 6 times. It's my favorite ride in Disneyland Paris.
Yeah, same. It's so much more intense than our Big Thunder Mountain. It's a long ride. You start by like shooting under the river, and then the whole ride takes place on the island in the middle of the river. And so you're like racing around this island, and it's much more like, it's fast, and like, oh, it is such a good ride.
Yeah.
Here's a big hack. If you're riding Big Thunder Mountain, when you first get into the line splits off into 2 sides.
Most of the time in Disney, you want to choose the left line because people tend to go to the right. Not so for this line. The right side line is much, much shorter. We tested it. We like chose random people in line to see like how much further they were ahead of us when we had gotten in line at the same time.
Choose the right side, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And if you keep on walking further into Frontierland, then there's the big theater show, Lion King, Rhythms of the Pride Lands.
Which we did not see.
No, we didn't. There was a crazy, it's a very popular show. Also, like, we're not necessarily the people who always have to go see the stage shows when we're in parks, because we're there more to, like, ride the rides and...
Although they do have good shows in Disneyland Paris.
Oh.
We'll talk about a little bit later. I know, like Thomas said, The Lion King is super popular. Everyone says it's a must-see. We just didn't take the time out of our day to see it.
I didn't want to wait in that line.
Yeah.
And you can do reserved seating, but I also didn't want to pay for reserved seating.
Yeah.
So once you leave Frontierland, then you're headed into Adventureland if you're following the path this way.
Yep.
From that side of Adventureland, you really sort of walk into like the restaurant-y area. There's the little quick service place that has pineapple soft serve.
Ooh, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's not, if you're familiar with Dole Whip, it's not called a Dole Whip in Disneyland Paris. It's called like pineapple, I think it might be called Pineapple Whip. Spoiler, it's my favorite pineapple soft serve that I've had at a Disney property.
And it was like as big as my head.
It was huge!
They give you so much.
And very fresh pineapple taste.
Yeah.
It was so good. Adventureland in Disneyland Paris is more themed towards like Africa, Asia, rather than like here in America, it's more like
South America.
Yeah, South America, still Africa, but I feel like Disneyland Paris is more like North African.
Yeah.
Like Morocco.
Like Morocco, yeah.
The theming was great. I loved Adventureland in Disneyland Paris.
The whole park is just stunning.
It's just beautiful.
And there's so much green. There's a lot of green in every Disney park, but I don't know, we like kicked it up a notch in Disneyland Paris.
And inside Adventureland, there's like a subland called Adventure Isle, which is like this little island that you can go out on. And this is really, when we talk about like random wandering, this is a key player in that.
So if you have been on Tom Sawyer Island, been through like the cave, Disneyland Paris has that, but like amped up. And we were walking through the caves and we ran into none other than Mr. Jack Sparrow.
It's true.
I apologize, Captain Jack Sparrow.
Captain. He was wild. We just like rounded. I mean, it's a maze down there. We're just like literally underground in these tunnels. And then all of a sudden we like rounded a corner and Jack Sparrow was there.
Yeah, it's also really cool. They have like cool lighting effects, a skull.
Throne almost?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. We'll add in some pictures.
And then the tunnels all come out and you're like underneath Skull Rock from Peter Pan.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's like waterfalls coming out the mouth and everything. It was great.
Yeah, so cool. And again, just a nice place to be like in the shade if it's a hot day.
If you're enjoying this video, I encourage you to give us a thumbs up and a subscribe. That way we can make even more content. Also over in that area is where the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse is, which it was under refurbishment when we were there, so we didn't get to go in that either, but next time.
Yes. It looked really cool from the outside. The next attraction in Adventureland is Indiana Jones
Temple of Peril.
Temple of Peril. But that also was unfortunately closed for refurbishment while we were there, so we didn't get to ride it. But unlike Disneyland's Indiana Jones, this one's a roller coaster. It has a loop. It's actually the first roller coaster in Disney, any Disney park, to feature a loop.
Mm-hmm. That's another one we'll have to write next time.
Yeah.
I see you calling my name, Paris. Then in Adventureland, probably the next ride is Pirates of the Caribbean.
Really good Pirates of the Caribbean. My personal favorite Pirates is forever and always going to be the original Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland. I haven't been to Shanghai yet, and that one talks a pretty big game. But for me personally, Disneyland has my heart. Disneyland Paris is a very, very close second. Some of the animatronics in there are like so cool, the effects they have.
Disneyland Paris's Pirates was coming for Disneyland California's wig. It was so close. They've got scenes where there's like a pirate swinging above your head, and like there's animatronics like sword fighting.
Yeah. The scene where they're dipping the mayor into the well, there is the gunshot. You can see the gunshot effect like hit the wall.
Oh yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, they did a really good job.
Also, side note, one of the things I loved a lot in Paris was that when we were going on dark rides, every time, like, people would have their phones out starting to like take pictures or whatever, but every time the ride like started, everyone just put their phones away and enjoyed the ride. And it was so nice, because I'm sure if you've been to a Disney park in America, the whole ride, most of the time, you're trying to enjoy the ride through people's phones.
Yeah.
So it was really nice that everyone there just was like, oh, I don't want to take away from anyone else's experience, so I'm going to put my camera away. Be that considerate person. You don't need to film. There's enough footage already online of on-ride footage. There's people whose job it is to go get on-ride footage. Go find it somewhere else and just like be considerate. Oh, and also right at the entrance from the hub to Adventureland, there's a walkthrough that's the story of Aladdin, and that's super fun.
It's like little vignettes similar to Sleeping Beauty, when you go into the Sleeping Beauty Castle in Disneyland, how you can see like the story. It's very much like that, but Aladdin. And there's a little lamp, not in the attraction, but like outside, you can rub the lamp and smoke will come out. It was cool.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it.
It was fun. Then if we keep going on our circle around Disneyland Paris, the next land we hit is Fantasyland.
So if you're coming from Pirates of the Caribbean, the first ride you're gonna hit in Fantasyland is Peter Pan. Peter Pan, we all know Peter Pan. It has the same crazy line in Paris that it does in every other Disney park. A difference in Paris is that the ride is actually 2 rows instead of just the 1.
Yeah, I felt like everything was just like a little plussed.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I felt like some of the effects were newer. It felt like it had been really well maintained. And then obviously it's Fantasyland, so there's Dumbo, there's the carousel, Small World, but that was closed when we were there for refurbishment as well. So that's another one we'll have to hit next time.
No.
There's Pinocchio, Snow White.
Snow White. There's Casey Jr. Side note about Casey Jr. It is more of a roller coaster than it is in Disneyland.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not like a roller coaster.
It's still for little kids.
But like, it was really fast.
Yeah.
It's got the Storybook Canal boats, which was fun because at that one, instead of going through Monstro the Whale, you go into the Cave of Wonders.
Yeah,
which was
I
really
did like
cool.
that.
Yeah.
Storybook Canal and Casey Jr. are kind of tucked back into the corner of Fantasyland, so it's a little bit quieter over there. We didn't have a line at either one. We just walked onto both of those attractions.
Yeah, totally. Which, if you've been to Disneyland in California, walking onto Storybook Canal boats is like unheard of. Also in Fantasyland is a walkthrough attraction called Alice's Curious Labyrinth.
Oh yeah.
So there's a huge like maze, like a hedge maze that you walk through. It's got like water effects, and like the Queen of Hearts will come out and yell at you. And then in the center, there's the Queen of Hearts castle.
You can climb up and look out over Disneyland Paris, and yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, it was cute. We've obviously got the teacups to
Yep.
ride, which is beautiful.
Oh, it has this big like glass canopy over it with like hanging lanterns. It's so
It
pretty.
was beautiful. Fantasyland is also where you can meet Mickey Mouse at Disneyland Paris. It's also where they have the Princess Pavilion where you can meet all the princesses.
That line, people wait in that line for like 3 hours.
Yeah, just to meet all the princesses. Which, if that's your life, then go for it. That's not my life.
No.
And obviously the centerpiece of Fantasyland is Sleeping Beauty Castle, which is, again, just beautiful.
And it's really cool. They actually have a walkthrough attraction underneath the castle where you can see the dragon.
That animatronic is wild.
It is so crazy.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest, I think, animatronic experiences that I've had.
Like, you can see it breathe. It does subtle movements with like its fingers and its tail, and then it'll like wake up and roar at you, and
It was
really
great.
cool.
And then inside the castle itself, it's really pretty because all the columns are like these big trees. And on the second story of it, there's a walkthrough of Sleeping Beauty, but there's like stained glass and like tapestries, and it was really great.
Yeah, they have 2 suits of armor that are like snoring. There's a crow that if you take a photo with your flash on, its eyes glow red in the photo. It's really cool. So next after Fantasyland is Discoveryland, which is Disneyland Paris's version of Tomorrowland. It's very like Jules Verne themed. It's pretty cool. And it's a little bit more timeless than like a classic Tomorrowland where tomorrow comes tomorrow.
It doesn't fall into that same like, what's the future? And then the future catches up.
Yeah, it doesn't get like outdated because it's a past view of what the future was gonna be.
I loved the theming of Discoveryland. It was super fun. But I'm also like a huge Jules Verne person. I loved it.
Yeah, it was cool.
So when you first walk into Discoveryland, the first ride that you see is the Buzz Lightyear Shooter Ride, which is Buzz Lightyear Laser Blast. If you've ridden Buzz Lightyear at the other parks,
It's the same.
yeah, essentially the same ride.
So next up we have
Orbitron.
Orbitron.
This is another one. It's Astro Orbiters, but this one's the same ride, but it's called Orbitron,
Yeah, Orbitron.
which is like the spinner.
Yeah, you're in like a little rocket ship and you spin around.
Yeah.
And it like tilts you way far in and out.
It was cramped. 2 adults in that car was
Oh, man.
was probably not the way to go.
Okay, let's talk about Paris for a second. If you have mobility issues, some of the rides are really tough to get in and out of. Specifically, Space Mountain.
Space Mountain was, we are 2 fully abled people, and it was so difficult to get in and out of the cars on Space Mountain.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
The carousel horses are like they're so tall.
They get shorter the farther inside you go.
Yeah, but like there were some real moments where I was like I was having trouble getting in and out of rides.
Yeah.
So bear that in mind if you're going to Disneyland Paris and maybe you or somebody else has like some physical limitation. But speaking of Space Mountain, that's another ride in Discoveryland, which was crazy.
So much more intense than our Space Mountain.
Yeah, if you go on it thinking that it's gonna be like, woo, like,
No.
it is wild. You shoot up a hill and then you're in the dark and you like flip and you barrel roll and you like, it's wild.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
And right now it's Hyperspace Mountain, so you have like the Star Wars projections. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but it's fun.
It was a very intense ride though. More than once when we rope dropped the park, we went straight to Space Mountain to ride it because we didn't want to wait in the huge line later in the day. And that is better than a cup of coffee. Try to wake you up first thing in the morning.
There was one time we went on Space Mountain first thing in the morning and the soundtrack hadn't started playing yet, so we just rode Space Mountain in the dark, in the quiet.
Yeah.
It was cool.
But like all the projections and everything were going, but like none of the music was going yet. And it was like, you could just hear the roller coaster.
And everyone like screaming and making noise, but
yeah.
it was funny.
It was super fun.
Made it a little more intense, maybe.
Then Discoveryland also has Autopia, which is the little car drive around ride.
If you've been on it at Disneyland or Disney World, Magic Kingdom, you've been on it. It's fun.
Also in Discoveryland is the PhilharMagic Theater, where you can see Mickey's PhilharMagic, which is like a 4D projector show. They have it at Disneyland and they have it at Disney World as well. And then next to that they have Star Tours. Yeah, we didn't go. We can't do Star Tours because of me. I get really motion sick and like, I don't care how many Dramamine I have in my system, Star Tours will make me sick.
It's the screens that do it.
Yeah, I just can't do it. So motion simulator rides for me are out. Discoveryland also has a place to eat, which is a great throwback. It's called Videopolis.
Videopolis.
And that's really all the rides in Discoveryland.
Yeah, which means we made it all the way around the park.
All the way through the park. Then, like we said, the park is actually 2 parks. So there's Disneyland Paris and there's Walt Disney Studios, which is just across the Esplanade.
Yeah.
So over in Walt Disney Studios, it's much more themed to like Hollywood and like movie making and things like that. Sort of like Hollywood studio vibes / California Adventure vibes. So when you first walk in, there's this big entranceway and you go through Studio 1, which is like this big soundstage area. There's like quick service restaurants in there, all the gift shops are in there. And then once you're out, you're in the production courtyard part of Walt Disney Studios. And there, it's really more of like an open space. There are some food carts here and there, but the ride that's there is Tower of Terror.
Oh. It's my favorite Tower of Terror, you guys. It was really, really good.
Me too, and I'm not even like a Tower of Terror fan.
He like hates the Tower of Terror.
Yeah, but it is so good.
It's the same like Twilight Zone theme. You have the people in the elevator and they disappear. But the difference is in this one, the little girl is like haunting the hotel, and the whole time you're on the ride, she's like there whispering like, "Don't scream, they can hear you, shh, be quiet." It's so creepy, but like, it's so good.
Yeah, it was so good. I would have ridden it again if it hadn't had such a long line.
Yeah, it was my personal favorite one, and I love Tower of Terror.
Yeah, I don't, but I have ridden them.
So once you leave Tower of Terror, just going to the left will take you to Avengers Campus. And in Avengers Campus, we have Flight Force, which used to be Rock and Roller Coaster, that they have reformatted into Captain Marvel and Iron Man.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was a fun ride.
Yeah.
The animatronic Iron Man at the beginning in the line was
so cool.
Yeah, it was like a person. It was awesome.
And they also have Spider-Man Web Adventure. It's more similar to Toy Story Midway Mania, where it's kind of like a video game, except instead of like pulling a trigger, you're just using your hands.
You shoot the webs.
Yeah, you shoot webs to like catch the spider bot, and it's really fun.
Yeah, it was super fun. We actually rode it for the first time in Paris before we rode it at Disneyland in California.
Yeah.
Which was funny. And that's it for the rides in Adventures Campus. There's really only the two.
But it's really cool. It's themed really well. They have these cool, like, iridescent blocks in the ground.
Oh, yeah. And the whole side of the building of Flight Force is Friday from Iron Man.
Oh, yeah. That was
And so she, like, talks and it, like, but it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked Avengers Campus a lot.
So then if we leave Avengers Campus back to Production Courtyard and we go right, then we're going to end up in Toon Studios. So this part of the park has flying carpets, Aladdin's flying carpets. We've got
Crush's
Coaster, which is a super cool ride, although it will always have an insane wait.
Yeah.
You're in like a turtle shell, and there's there's 4 people back to back, and you're in the turtle shell, and it's a roller coaster, but your shell also like spins as you're going, and you're in the dark.
Not the whole time. So the first part is kind of more like a dark ride where it like takes you through kind of the story of Nemo, part of the story of Nemo, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you get to the EAC, and that's when your shell like starts spinning. It's really fun.
Yeah, I loved it. We rode it twice, and it was fun. Also in Toon Studios, they have the show Mickey and the Magician.
Oh, we loved Mickey and the Magician. It was so good.
It was so
good.
It was
so cute.
I can't state it. Like, it's my favorite Disney stage show I've seen. Of all the ones that I've seen in parks or on cruise ships, it's my absolute favorite. It was such a fun blend of like Disney, like obviously like Mickey Mouse is there, but like also just like stage magic.
Real magic happening.
Yeah, it was so crazy, some of the things that happened in that show. I would watch that show 100 more times.
Yeah.
We were saying, as soon as we left, we were like, they better put that on a cruise ship so everyone can see it.
It's so good.
It's so good. If you get a chance, there are multiple showings throughout the day, and I highly recommend that you go see Mickey and the Magician.
Yeah.
It was such a good show, but it was great. We still, to this day, there's a line in there where Mickey felt really bad, and we still say, "Je suis désolé." It's so good.
My heart.
It's so good. Go see Mickey and the Magician.
Yeah, you won't regret it.
No. Also in Toon Studios, they have like Route 66.
Yeah, it's like a small Cars land.
They have a ride there called Cars Cateroule Rally, and it's sort of like
Mater's Junkyard Jamboree.
Yeah, kind of like Teacup.
Yeah. So like spins you, it like whips you around.
Yeah, it was fun. It was just like a little ride.
Yeah.
The Cars Land there is very much like for like a younger demographic.
Yeah. So after you leave Toon Studio, you're gonna head into Toy Story Land. So we have RC Racer and Slinky Dog Zigzag Spin. We unfortunately were not able to ride any of the rides in Toy Story Land because the lines were crazy.
Yeah, they were wild. For parachute drop, it never dropped below like a 45-minute wait. And for those of you who've been to California Adventure in California, it's essentially the same as Jumpin' Jellyfish, which literally never has a wait. So we just couldn't justify spending 45 minutes of our day in Walt Disney Studios waiting to ride parachute drop. And then when it comes to RC Racer, which is like a big roller coaster that just shoots you like that, this is the ride. That was another one where my stomach would not be able to handle it, so I held us back from that. And we did not do Slinky Dog Zigzag Spin for the same reason, because it literally just does this. So I'm a party pooper and I ruin Jamie's adventures.
No.
And then just after Toy Story Land is like Ratatouille Land. But it's an area that's all themed to France, which is kind of funny, because you're in France. But like, it's all themed to France.
And they have a cute little like food festival, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Where you can stop and get like French food from different regions around France, which I really enjoyed. We tried a few of them.
Yeah, we got like raclette while we were there.
And then obviously in the Ratatouille section, you can ride Ratatouille.
Yeah, great ride. They have it at Walt Disney World now in Florida at Epcot, which it was a super fun ride, a trackless ride that takes you around through the adventures of like Remy and Ratatouille. You're in like a big mouse.
Yeah, yeah. Super cute. It's big screens and you're like watching things happen, and it's kind of like motion simulator but a little bit different.
Yeah. It's like a dark ride / motion simulator moment, kind of.
Yeah. In the queue, there's one part in the queue where you're just like outside in Paris. You're inside, but like the theming is outside in Paris, and it's like, it's just really cute.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that ride. And then off to the side of the Ratatouille area is sort of a random walkway that takes you out into Cars Road Trip, which is like a ride. This used to be like a studio tour, but now they've rethemed it to Cars, so you're going down Route 66. It doesn't have a wait, hardly ever.
Yeah.
Not many people in France really enjoy that ride. There's the cool part where like you're in Catastrophe Canyon and like the fire goes off and there's like water and like your tram is moving. So like it's fun, but it's not a thrill ride by any means.
No. That's one thing about Walt Disney Studios Park as well. It's right now a very small park, so all of the like big e-ticket rides are gonna have really long lines if you don't get them done early in the day. Or one nice thing you can do in Paris is Premier Access, and then they have a Premier Access that you can buy, and it will let you ride essentially Fast Pass for every ride that has a Fast Pass at whatever time. And I really enjoyed that. We did that one day and we were able to get to every Fast Pass ride done.
Totally, yeah. Premier Access, you can buy individual cut the line passes, or like she said, there's Premier Access Ultimate is what it's called, and that gets you whenever you want to go on any ride that has it throughout the entire day. So if you're in Disneyland Paris on a real time crunch, but you want to make sure you hit all the rides you can, I feel like it's worth it. It's not cheap, but I definitely felt like for us, we had such a limited amount of time in the parks and we wanted to make sure we got the most of it. I felt like it was worth it. There were a lot of things we wouldn't have ridden if we hadn't done Premier Access Ultimate. So for us, it was worth it, but it is a large extra expense, so it's up to you to decide whether or not it's worth it for you and your party. If you have a lot of people in your party, I can see how it would get like crazy expensive really fast and might not be worth it, but we only have the two of us, so it wasn't too terrible. And that's it for Walt Disney Studios. Like Jamie said, right now it's a really small park. They are currently building an expansion. So they're doing Frozen Land, and then the like walkway up to the big lake with Frozen Land also is gonna have like a Tangled section with a ride. There's like a Peter Pan British Garden going in. So it's gonna be much bigger over there soon, but for now, honestly, I think Walt Disney Studios is like a half-day park.
Yeah, unless you're stuck standing in all of the lines all day.
Right, but I think that's part of the reason why all the tickets they give you are just park hopper tickets. You can't buy just a ticket for one park. They're all park hopper tickets.
Which was actually nice. We're not park hoppers normally because I usually feel like it's kind of a waste of time. In Paris, we did have a day where we like park hopped back and forth.
Yeah, totally. I think we did twice.
Yeah, I think we might have done it twice. Because it's right there. It's kind of just like Disneyland and California Adventure where it's just like right across. So now let's talk about some of the restaurants that we ate at while we were there. We were only there for 3 days, so we only went to 3 like sit-down dining restaurants. The first was Captain Jack's, which is kind of like Blue Bayou in the sense that it is connected to Pirates of the Caribbean, and in no other way is it like Blue Bayou.
Yeah, it's a restaurant right next to where like the boats go past for Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
But it's all themed to like pirates and Captain Jack Sparrow, and it was a really cute atmosphere. I really liked the atmosphere of Captain Jack's a lot. I thought it was super cute.
Yeah, it was really fun. The food was good. It's like Caribbean style food. I think all in all, it was our least favorite of the 3 restaurants that we went to, but it was really fun.
Go for the theming, not necessarily the food. Then the next restaurant that we went to the following night was Remy's, Bistro Chez Remy, which was over in the Ratatouille area of Walt Disney Studios. I loved this restaurant.
Yeah, super cute. It shrinks you down to like the size of a mouse, and all of the like theming inside of the restaurant is like giant kitchen things, so it's fun that way.
It looks like the final scene of the movie when all the rats are eating at Remy's restaurant.
Yeah.
You're the rat now. So there's like the tables are, matchbooks, there's giant salt shakers and like wine glasses. There's a big anyone can cook cookbook in the middle of it. The theming was so cute in there, and the food was so good.
Yeah, really delicious food. We also did a wine pairing with our meal, and
oh yeah,
it was for a wine pairing like very reasonably priced.
Well, and I have to say that like for a wine pairing at a theme park, I felt like the wine was actually really good.
Yeah, I mean we were in France.
Sure.
But it was good wine, and the food was delicious.
I would definitely go back to Bistro Chez Remy again.
Yes. And the final night we went to Walt's. We actually went more at like lunchtime because we couldn't get a dinner reservation.
It's tough.
But Walt's inside is absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of different rooms themed to different areas of the park and different rides in the park. So that's also really fun. And then the food was incredible.
It was so good. We were in the Frontierland room.
Yeah.
And that was super cute. You're up on the 2nd level of Main Street USA. So it was fun for us because the parade actually went by while we were in there. And like the top of the parade floats were right at window level for us. So like Mickey and like Goofy and like all of them were just like going past the window while we were eating.
It was super cute.
Yeah. But the food was so good.
Yeah.
This was the best meal we had in Disneyland Paris.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere sort of gave us like Club 33 at Disneyland in California, if you've been. It reminded us similarly of that.
Yeah.
But this one's not like an exclusive club anybody can go to if you can get a reservation. And then obviously there's lots of really good like quick service places around the park. Like we said, we got the pineapple whip. We got a Mickey shaped pizza that was good. We got a crepe, which was good for breakfast. Side note, if you don't like Nutella, everyone in France will think you're very strange. Because we're not Nutella people, but like when we ordered a crepe and I said no Nutella, and they were like, what do you mean no Nutella? I was like, I don't want the Nutella on it. And they were like, no Nutella? Like I was like, I just want the crepe, please,
Just
thank
the
you.
crepe.
Yeah.
So like we said earlier, we were there for the 30th anniversary of the park. So we got to see the Dream and Shine Brighter parade, which was incredible.
It was good.
So much fun. But one thing that I wanted to point out about Disneyland Paris's parades is the way that they do them. It's really cool. So it is a parade, but they stop in the hub and like everyone gets off of their floats, and it's kind of like a dance party as well. They have like stages in the hub, so you really get to see the characters closer than like when it's just a parade.
Yeah, it's a real mix between a parade and like a stage show.
Yeah.
All the floats come in and bring the characters, and then there's like a whole show where they're all on these stages and they rotate around.
Yeah.
So that you can see everyone. It's such a smart layout concept, and I don't know why all the other Disney parks don't do it.
And then they get back on their floats and you finish the parade. I feel like it lends itself to better viewing opportunities.
Yeah, well, and it really made you feel like you were part of the show, like you were right in the middle of it.
Something fun also is pretty much everyone in Disneyland Paris knew not only the songs for the parade, the choreography.
Yeah.
They knew the parade choreography.
It was so fun. I've never been anywhere where I've never been to a Disney park where the sense of like camaraderie was so big. Everyone was just like so in it. Everyone was so proud of like Disneyland Paris, and the dancers in like the Dream and Shine Brighter show were celebrities.
Yeah.
Everyone was losing it over these like parade dancers, which here in, like Disneyland California would be so foreign to us to be like, look at you parade dancers, you're my hero. Everyone was obsessed. It was so much fun.
It was really immersive experience. It made you feel like you were part of the parade too.
Totally. We were so lucky, actually. Our very first day, we walked into the park and the Dream and Shine Brighter show just started. So the first thing that happened to us when we walked into Disneyland Paris was we were suddenly surrounded by this like Disney dance party.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. Ooh, also one time we were watching it later in our vacation, and there's a part where Mickey Mouse says like, when we like dream together, the world shines brighter. And I'm not kidding. The clouds parted and the sun started coming down when he said that.
I can confirm.
You can't tell me anything. Mickey Mouse did that. I lost it.
It was really cool.
So while we were there, we were lucky enough to see not only like the fireworks show that they were doing, but Disney Delights, which they were doing before and after, which was the drone show around the castle. It was so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I can't believe we're not using this at all the other parks. It was so magical, all these drones doing like the things in the sky. It was wild, and it just like added that extra level of like, whoa.
Yeah, it was great.
So fun.
Great job, Disneyland Paris.
Yeah. Well, and Disneyland Paris is really fun too because you're in France, right? So there's a little cart on Main Street selling champagne. So you can get like some champagne and you can watch the fireworks. That's us having champagne at the castle. But like there's nowhere else you can do that.
Yeah.
It felt very French.
Yeah, it was nice.
And the fireworks show was great. It was a really good just like fireworks show overall.
Yeah, good projections on the castle. They also have fountains in front of the castle, which was fun as well. My tip, if you're a little bit on the shorter side, there are some fences around like the stages that we were talking about before. We stood behind one of those fences, so there weren't like a bunch of tall people standing right in front of us, which actually gave us a really good view of the castle and the fireworks.
So there's a little bit about our trip to Disneyland Paris, what to expect when you go there, some tips and tricks just sprinkled throughout.
We had a lot of fun, and if you're planning a trip to Disneyland Paris, we hope you have a lot of fun and that this video was helpful.
Yeah, I already can't wait to go back to Disneyland Paris.
Oh my gosh, I love it. It's one of my favorite Disney parks now.
Yeah, I like it better than Disney World, sorry. Thank you so much for watching these videos. We're just starting out, and it really means a lot to us. So until next time, keep on exploring.